Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Standard Speakeasy. My name is Srethne, and every episode of the Standard Speakeasy, I bring on a guest from the Central Time Zone, and I interview them from the comforts of my own home because I was supposed to go on tour, but COVID hit. But without further ado, my guest today is Estephany Guzman. Hey, Estephany, how are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing okay.
Awesome. Thank you for being my guest today. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And so you're a comedian based and artist in Chicago. And what's it like pre-COVID when it comes to comedy and being an artist in Chicago?
Yeah, pre-COVID, it was great. I made the decision in 2019 to really go full throttle on stand-up comedy. So I started working my ass off. I turned my full-time job. I convinced them to switch me to part-time so that I could have more time for stand-up. And it was rocky at first. I definitely bombed a lot, um, but it was a different consistency than I had been doing, like consistency of open mics, of shows than I had done previously before I decided to work part time. Before I decided that this is now something I'm going to commit myself every day to every single day. Um, so that's what I was doing, and I got better. I think a month, almost 2 months after, I really started to see myself get better, and that was hopeful because I mean, you want to see improvement. Otherwise, it might not. That thing might not be for you. The
Indeed.
thing that you have. So yeah, I saw a lot of improvement. I started getting booked. It wasn't all in my head. I actually started getting booked. Doing open mics, I think I was doing comedy pretty much every day. Open mic or something going on. Um, and I think that kind of you know, uh, it's a lifestyle. It's something. It's a drive. It's a dream. It's something that I really I set goals for myself. Like, oh, I want to be featured. I want to be at Laugh Factory. Like, I want to get to the point where I get booked at these places that for me are staples of Chicago comedy. And right before COVID, and I did, and before a year after I decided to do this, I reached a bunch of different goals that I was set myself off to do, and then COVID happened, and and fuck, then there goes all the gigs that were booked, a Laugh Factory gig. Even during COVID, I got booked for like a Zanies gig that I really was excited for, but that couldn't happen because um, maybe like a couple weeks before the show, the mayor, Lori Lightfoot decided to shut everything down after 10 p.m. Like, you can't have any indoor dining, nothing can be going on after 10 p.m. So the show was canceled, and just like um, yeah, it. But before COVID, everything was moving along very splendidly.
Indeed. And what are some of your favorite bombing stories? That you mentioned that you were bombing like the first couple of months that you were performing on stage.
I think my favorite one is when I bombed because I said the word retarded. Um, it was right as I was. I mean, I've always bombed. I've never been before I decided to really put my all into stand up comedy. I was never really that good, and I bombed very consistently. And I think, but once I started going again, I had this joke, and I used sound retarded, and I remember, like, before I did that punchline, the crowd was with me. Everybody loves me. It was my first show getting booked after just getting started again, after doing a bunch of open mics for like a month and a half. Finally get booked. The crowd loves me. I dropped the word. Everyone except one person in the center of the room burst out laughing. She's just like, she thinks that it's hilarious, and everyone else was not. No, everyone was on silent, and it was hard to get him back on my side. But I did it because I was able to get him back on my side. Like, even though they hated that punchline, um, I was able to. I had to win them. I had to win them back. So that was like a really accelerating thing to be happening for me on stage.
Indeed, yeah, I learned a lot. Like, there's some words that we just can't say on stage, and as much as it's part of the joke and everything, and it's like it happens in Daytona a lot too. And I like Daytona is where I perform mostly, and there was like some comics that just like throw these words willy nilly, and then like they just completely bomb, and they don't know how to win back the audience because they're still new to the stage. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta follow that. It's like it's like a war field. I'm like, oh Jesus. But then, I'm like much loved in that scene, so I just have everyone pick their favorite jokes, and then I just perform them, and then everyone's happy again. So it's like it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Indeed.
I learned a big lesson. It wasn't, I don't mind using words that are taboo as long as it's justified and it's funny. But it was not it was not funny. Like, it wasn't like, it just didn't justify the bit. It was unnecessary. And but I learned it through doing more mics, through talking to other friends that are comedians. Luis Arabello, actually, who you had on your show, was a big help to be. He was just like, nah, dude, he's like, that's a trash joke. Like, it's trash. Like, change it. You can do better.
Indeed, most definitely. And also, other than stand-up sketches, sketch comedy is your life is too. And how did you get involved in sketch comedy?
I've always done sketch comedy. Well, I think my earliest introduction to sketch was when I Second City. I think a lot of Chicago comedians have the same experience. I was really young. I was 18, and I signed up for a sketch comedy writing class at Second City. I commuted from. I'm from a suburb here near Chicago, and I would commute about a little bit over an hour, go to Second City, and I learned what stage sketches are. And then I never really liked Second City. Eventually, didn't go anywhere there, and then found myself uh, like, I was like, I think I'm gonna start making my own videos. Just like, I think I need to start just doing my, because YouTube became a thing before TikTok, before all of this. It was, you go, oh, people are doing funny shit on YouTube. So I was like, cool, let me just make something silly. But it took me a long time, honestly, to get to the point where I was like, comfortable failing, because I thought I had everything I had to do was like, had to be a masterpiece, or had to be up to my tier of like expectation, which was too high.
Indeed, most definitely. And I'm glad you're venturing off into like other forms of stand up and all that good stuff. And for our interview today, we're raising funds for the Brave Space Alliance. And what did you pick those 5 bucks to raise funds for?
Well, I really love their org. I right now I take their therapy sessions. They provide free therapy for LGBTQ community, um, and it's amazing. It's great to have a place that provides free therapy. Um, I think a lot of people, it's right now a lot of people don't have the funds for that. And Braces Alliance is a place that stands with the LGBTQ community, and they consistently are working so hard. Like, I know there's like not a day when they're not advocating for something. Um, and yeah, and I care about trans rights, and I care about queer rights, and I care about, yeah, POC rights, and I think it's a great place to donate to. So please do, if you can.
Absolutely. And I made sure to put the website scrolling on the bottom and beneath the description box below, so it's easy to access to donate. And if you can, that'd be fantastic. So, Stephanie, for this next part, I was hoping to go on tour of the Central Time Zone and interview comics. And these are the questions I ask comics all the time with these interviews, and there's like 600 of them on my YouTube channel alone. And so, with that being said, what has inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
I think the feeling of connection, connecting with people, like I don't know, simply put, right? Like it's fun. I think I'm just naturally um I like storytelling. Uh I think being able to take something, because I like comedy that can take like ideas and that make you see like the humor in a lot of like dark things and like ideas in society that are supposed, that society tells you you're supposed to think this way about gun rights, but a comedian can show you a different way to think about it, or the absurdity of it, or etc. So I just think of it as a philosophy. I think stand-up comedy is a philosophical art, and it's and laughter. I think that connection of like sharing laughter with people is so unique to be able to it's like when you're, I don't know, like it's almost like experience, like when you're a kid. I think like I was definitely one of those kids who like always dreamed about being popular. Like if you ever, or you're just like kind of like a loser kid, and you don't have many friends, and I have fantasies about like, like being popular. And I think something about that also sometimes comes up on stage of like all these people that I don't know, all these people that I somehow come on my side. Like maybe in regular life they wouldn't give a fuck about what I have to say or anything, but when I'm on stage, um, I'm connecting with these people that I normally wouldn't. They normally wouldn't even look my way, or would we ever connect otherwise?
Indeed, most definitely. That's why I love stand up too. It's like you can just like bare your soul and just be yourself, and everyone loves you. It's fantastic.
If you can make them laugh, or everybody hates you too.
Yep, that's true too. Indeed, it's like those people that that bomb before you. It's like, oh geez. So, but then when you win them back, it's fantastic. Um,
Exactly.
let's see here. It's what was the feeling like when you first performed stand up?
When I first performed stand up was actually out of like, um, it, I think it was like a survival. Um, I was grasping for something to, I don't know, for something, because I was really depressed. I think when I first tried stand up, it's an art that I grew to love. I think when Netflix first started coming, like when Netflix first started featuring stand up specials, that was a moment. Like when Netflix started featuring stand up specials was a moment, because that before that I wasn't really watching Comedy Central. I didn't have cable. Like I did grow up with cable, but I didn't have for there were times in my life when we had Comedy Central, and there were times when we didn't. So I wasn't consistent about it. But then Netflix came, and and everybody, and I had fucking Netflix, and um and that introduced me to stand up. And I, before it was like, oh, sketch, or just writing in general, like TV writing. And then it was like, whoa, this art form is crazy. Like I knew I liked it, but I didn't realize how fucking how I just really connected with it. And it wasn't until maybe a couple years after that I tried stand up for the first time. But I was also very depressed, had just gone through like a something of a breakup, um, and I needed something. I needed something, and I thought, and yeah, and that was the beginning of it. Like, let me try this thing, because laughter. I think when you think again, I think I just need to connect with people in some way.
Yep, Indeed, it reminds me of like the phoenix. It's like you rise from the ashes and become something more beautiful and it just comes out of nowhere. That's how I was too. It's like I started off in the horror movie industry and I was like, man, I'm on the top of the world. And then I was urged to try stand up and then I did it and I got hooked and I'm like, this is the best feeling in the world. So I just love it too. So that's I love that answer. And what is your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
Oh man, I think right now, Sam J's 3 a.m. is the top of my list right now. Have you seen it?
I haven't no.
Sam J's 3 a.m. Amazing. Um, like it's just so smart and funny, and you can tell she's having a blast. And also, I mean, I feel like it doesn't really. I don't really care that she's black and queer. Like it's not why I like the special, you know? It's although she has jokes that are about being black and queer that are hilarious, you know? And I think and I mean I definitely can connect with the queer part of it. And yeah, but also but I think her delivery is incredible. Like just so funny. And you can tell she fucking worked those jokes because I know she's been at it for some time. So I just love seeing hard work coming to fruition.
Indeed, most definitely. And what are your favorite sitcom sketch shows and comedy films?
Border Squad is one of my favorite. Border Squad is such a hit and miss. Like, uh, it really can be a fucking when it's a miss, it's so bad. But when it's a hit, you go, it's so simple. It's like comedy that's just so simple, you know? Like, um, they don't, that they're not, like, of course, being like a comedy nerd, I just like research to see, how do they make this? They're not writing anything down. They're just kind of going with it. And I really love that. I love the spontaneity of just like, get the camera rolling, have ideas, let's work them out as we do this. Um, and Chappelle Show for sure. I think Chappelle Show was my first introduction to sketch comedy. I mean, maybe SNL was, but I didn't connect with SNL the way that I connected with Chappelle Show. Um, and yeah, and I also and right now I'm watching Random Acts of Flyness, which is a comedy sketch show, but very different, very surreal. Like I don't know, it's just really it's so different from Chappelle Show, so different from Motor Squad. These are three really separate sketch comedy shows that I nothing like SNL. It's just like it's just so different in their own, so unique in their own way. Uh, yeah, there's more. I feel like there's definitely more. I mean, I watch a lot of just random sketch comedy. Like I really also just love watching it live. Um, but more I really like more absurdist shit. So Eric Andre, I would, even though it's not a sketch comedy show, I still a lot of what he in the show. There's sketches that he does. There's a bunch of sketches that he does, and like that has always that when I first discovered Eric Andre when it first came out, it blew my fucking mind. Even though, and that was a period of time too where I was just like horribly depressed, and that got me through it.
Indeed, most definitely. And favorite comedy films?
Favorite comedy films. Huh. Comedy films. I know people are. I know. Yeah, interesting. I don't really think of favorite comedy films. Um, it's a film that makes me laugh. That's crazy. I don't know. Uh, I think like Big Mama's House was like one that I, as a kid, just like thought it was the best fucking thing in the world. You know, like uh also the airplane one, uh Soul Plane. Like there are things that I'm just like, as a kid I remember watching them, just like just rewatching them and rewatching them, just thinking they were the most hilarious thing. This man dressed as this big grandma, and just like his shenanigans that he had to go through. And I think also because Martin Lawrence has such a way, like all these facial expressions, the way his like eyes pop out, that I really loved.
Indeed, most definitely. And let's see here. If you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Sam J for sure. Gerard Carmichael. That would be that'd be really fun. Um, Leslie Jones. I would love to learn Leslie Jones. Like, what a fucking dream to work by Leslie Jones. Um, I think who else would I be just so psyched? Maybe I think I you know what? I don't think I would love it, but I do, but I would love at some point to do something with Bill Burr. Like I think almost everything that dude does, I really fuck with.
Indeed, most definitely. And if you can get roasted by five comedians, past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
Roasted by Pete Davidson. I think Pete Davidson has always done a great job at roasting. Um, Natasha Leggero, she's great. She's a beast. She's so good. And her husband's great. Moshe Coach. Yeah, Moshe Coach. I forget how you say his last name. It's a Jewish last name. Um, but yeah, he's really funny too, and he's really good at roasting. Um, Patrice O'Neill, if he was still alive, amazing. I don't know if you ever saw like him on Colin Quinn's show, but like fucking so funny, like with roasting, because he would. I mean, that was kind of a roasting show, not entirely, but kind of. Oh my god, and ooh, just destroy you. Uh, um, Doug Stanhope.
Indeed. And you've done sketch and so forth. And which other forms of comedy would you venture off into, like improv, comedy writing, acting, directing, etc.?
Which what?
Which other forms of comedy would you like to venture off into, like improv, directing? Because you've done sketch already, um, writing, directing, acting, etc.
Like which one would I fuck with the most?
Yep. Like which one would you like to venture off into next?
Oh, right now I'm writing a pilot. I think writing is the next big one. Um, it's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, but I also think again the high expectation. But writing is, if I hadn't done it, the thing is, when you haven't done something in years of never done it, um, yeah, like spec script writing, maybe not that hard. But if you're just trying to write something original, it's pretty tough. But that and directing.
Indeed, most definitely. And where do you see your comedy journey in the next 5 years?
My comedy.
Yep.
Hopefully I have a TV show by then. But I
Awesome.
direct, write, and edit.
Indeed. And what is your favorite joke a comic has ever written?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I think Louis C.K.
In
Um, Louis C.K. has this joke because and it's on his special Shameless. Uh, I believe it's Shameless. Yeah. Um, Louis C.K. when he first was one of like the first comedians that came out, like when Netflix had that, started putting out specials, and he has this joke about his going to visit his grandma at the residential home, and how the doctor told her that she's got a tumor in her head. And then he goes, "But I swear to God," he wanted to say she's got a tumor in her fucking head. And he goes on about this visit with his grandma, and how, like, and that was the first, and really a lot of people do renditions of this joke all the time now. Like a lot of Louis C.K.'s jokes, people don't realize it, but a lot of his, yeah, like, even though, like, he talks about his visiting his grandma, and her just talking about, like, just being like, I don't know what to tell her, like, well, like, what was it like in the war, like, just like, and just how he doesn't love her enough, and how just like, oh, yeah, it's a whole, it's a bigger arc. But the one about the tumor in her head, um i remember I remember the guttural, when I first heard that, just the guttural, like, I was just, it was so guttural, like, I just felt it so hard. I don't think I've ever, I mean, I have a lot of reactions to that joke. I have reacted to jokes like that again, but that's the one that the light bulb went off with me. It was like, whoa, like, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Indeed, most definitely. And what experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
What?
What experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
What experience? Um, Fun. I hope they have fun. Like, yeah, like, hopefully you walk away, like, that was so much fun. Because
Indeed,
that's what I take away from, when I go see comedy.
most definitely. And let's see here. As you were nominated as my guest on from another fellow Chicago comic, is this the only way you can get on the show is the stand up speakeasy. So it's like our Roaring Twenties, our secret society of stand up comics, our prohibition, if you will, during these crazy times. And so, with that being said, Stephanie, which comics and based out of Chicago would you like to see as my featured guests on the stand up speakeasy?
Mm. Who's got clout that I could use? Who do I hate but has a lot of clout? No, let me think. Who was hilarious? Who was, like, not seen a lot, but, like, is really funny? Okay, I think. All right, let me just get her last name. One second. Okay. Yeah, I don't think she has a last name, but you'll find her. Because I was like, I don't think I don't know her last name. I was like, but I don't think that's her last name. I think you should interview Mo Good. Mo, M-O, not last name, but just her stage name, Good, G-O-O-D. Um, I got to, like, have her on my show once, the one that I was running. Oh wait, one other one. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So Mo Good. I think she's hilarious. I think she just her delivery is great. Her energy is wild. And also Kwame Marshall, Kwamin Marshall. I think he's really funny. I just remember the first time I saw him thinking, this dude is really good. So you're just, like, taken aback. You're like, damn, this dude is really good. Yeah. Um, and of course Luis Arabello, but he's already been on.
Indeed, most definitely. And with that being said, I'm honored that I was able to have you as a guest on my show today, Stephanie, and also please follow on Instagram, donate on Venmo and Zelle, Real Fresh Shrimp, and donate to the Brave Space Alliance as well, if you can. That'd be fantastic. And with that Are there any final words you'd like to give out to the audience at home?
Um, keep it, take it. I don't know. I mean, just let's get through this, everybody. If you're a comedian right now, you're a stand-up comedian. It probably feels like very similar that it might never come back. But I do think that we'll find. Let's wait till summer. There's gonna be shit going on in summer. We'll figure it out. We'll get through
And
this.
absolutely, I hope so too. I miss the stand up scene, and I just this is like the most craziest time ever. So, but until then, we'll meet up with each other, and I know that I'll be there in October, so it'll be in the fall. So I look forward to meeting you in person and all that good stuff, and seeing you perform live and all that good stuff.
Yeah, hit me up when you're here, and yeah, and thank you for having me. It's so fun to talk to another fellow comic.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being my guest. It means a lot to me too. And I will see you on the next episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy, and I'll send this away after I publish it and all that good stuff. So
Yeah. Okay.
awesome,
Awesome.
fantastic. Thank you so much. And until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy. Be well, everyone, and take